decided that it's important that we send a message and hopefully lead the rest of our nation, ensuring that people have these rights. And what I'm talking about is the right to be there at the beginning of life, when your child is born or newly adopted, or at the other end of life's spectrum, at a time when perhaps you need to be there with your elderly parents and hold their hand in their final hours, as I was able to do with my mother. And do all of this without the fear of losing your position in the workplace or losing your much needed income. And that is a statement of our priorities to respect families across our state, understand the pressure they're under, and to come up with a program that is not just good for the families and individuals, but also very good for the employers. And we believe that gives our employers a competitive advantage when they're trying to recruit employees. We believe that when people know that they have the ability to leave when their family requires it, their obligations require it, that they are more likely to want to work in an environment where that's supported. And in the state of New York, that is supported. But it's not supported by the employer's pocketbook. It is supported by a fund that is set up where people are having a part of their income, a very small part, withdrawn every week into an insurance policy. So that money is there when they need it. And so this has just been unveiled in the recent week. It's the first in the nation to have a generous program starting at 8 weeks up to 12 weeks by the year 2021. And this is for both full-time and part-time employees, depending on how long they work at a facility or location. And it's going to ensure that they have at least 50% of their income up to a statewide cap based on an average of about $656 a week. So that's the overview of what we're doing here in the state of New York. There are 3 other states that have it. We believe that there should be catch-up. We are the most generous, but we also believe that this should be a federal policy. And unlike the federal government, which allows unpaid time, we believe that it's asking the impossible for families to leave their jobs, take care of their family obligations, and not have any income coming in. So it's an important statement, again, of our priorities here in the state of New York. Something I had a little personal experience with. I now have a 30-year-old son who is off to work on his own, thank God. But I recall when I worked as an attorney for Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan on Capitol Hill, and I was pregnant with him and had to make that tough decision of whether or not I could stay home or to continue my work. And at the time, there were not options like this. This was even before we had family medical leave. And so I'm very proud to see how we've evolved as a nation. But I think it still should be a federal policy as well. But here in the state of New York, Governor Cuomo has ensured that, as in many cases, when it comes to our progressive values, New York has taken the lead. And I will also recognize that we're behind many other countries. This is not something that we are proud of. There are many other countries, those represented by those of you here today, who've seen how important this is to provide this helping hand to families who want to continue working but raising their children. And so we acknowledge that. We have some work to do, but when you're trying to get policies through a divided government, Republicans and Democrats, and everyone has different priorities, I think this was a real record of accomplishment for our governor to have this in our country today. So with that, I'll entertain questions and any details. I have the experts here who can get into the weeds if that's where you want to go. But again, it's a new day here in the state of New York when it comes to people being able to raise their families, be there for their children, take them to a doctor's appointment, take care of a sick spouse, be there to help if your spouse is in the military and you need to step up while they're serving our country, and again, be there for aging parents to take them to doctor appointments or be there at their time of need. So we're very excited about this.
So if you have a question, if you could state your name and media affiliation before asking your question, please go ahead.
Mr. Lee from People's Daily.
Nice to see you, Mr. Lee.
I wonder if you have that kind of policy to the unregistered immigrants. Are they a part of this policy, or how do you solve this problem?
If someone is working in a workplace in the state of New York, they are able to have part of their income withheld for this, and the money is there for them. We're not asking questions about their status before we do this. This is someone who's is working in New York State. They can also be self-employed. This is available to self-employed individuals, and I believe that's an accurate statement. Yes.
Samuel from Xinhua. Just surprised to know only 4 states in U.S. have such a plan, and there is the federal government does not have such a plan either. Just wonder what are the reasons? Is it lack of political will or it's a lack of financing?
I would say lack of political will, because we have found a way to do it in New York State without much expense to the employee whatsoever. We believe it's very reasonable. If you make $27,000 a year as your income, it's about 65 cents a week out of your paycheck to give you this assurance that you can be there with your family when necessary. So first of all, let's start with the federal level. I believe it was under President Clinton where they initiated the first family medical leave program at all, but it's unpaid. And we have evolved from that to here in the state of New York saying that people deserve to have an income. As with respect to the rest of the nation, I encourage them to look at New York. I think there's been a fear that this would impose an additional burden on our employers. And here in the state of New York, we're doing whatever we can to encourage employers to want to be here, and the ones who've made New York their home to thrive. We're not looking to put additional burdens on them. But we've found in some of the other cases like California, Rhode Island, that have been out a little bit earlier, but aren't as generous as us, that they have found the opposite, that this has actually been a good selling point for employers to be able to offer their employees. So I think those early examples are the data is now being demonstrated that has not hurt the employers, it has not increased their costs, and I think that'll go a long way to convincing people who use that as an objection as it actually can work. And that's why we want New York and the rest of the world to know what we're doing here, so that'll hopefully inspire other states to say, you know what, this should be a basic quality of life issue, a family matter like this. And again, the rest of the world has led in this area. Many other states or countries are more generous, and we have some catch up to do. But I think the cost issue is not relevant, it's not real, it's made up. And so you just need the political will. And fortunately here in the state of New York, we had a governor who had the political will, and I'm proud to work with him to make sure that this is rolled out successfully. People know their rights. We have a lot of information being disseminated to employers all over. We did last year, so no one was caught off guard by this change, and I believe it's going to be embraced.
Yeah, hi, Bakola Shonogan with Global Media. This is fantastic news, actually. You know, I really commend the governor's office for making this happen. So now, to follow up on the question that one of my colleagues asked earlier about the immigrant community, even those who are documented that are working, they're usually taken advantage of by the employer, especially the immigrant population. So are there any specific efforts on the grassroots level to